fly, warriors. Today is a good day for pumpkin seeds. I had some pumpkin seeds today. Saw them when I was at the store, and I thought I'd like to try some pumpkin seeds. And so I did, and they were delicious. Reminded me of my childhood when I was little, and it was time for a pumpkin carving for Halloween. My mom used to roast the seeds after, and they were real good. Sometimes she burned them. I don't know if my mom's ever heard of timers. Seems like maybe not. But they were good when they weren't burned. Yeah, encrypted, oven roasted with salt. They were delicious. I want some more now that I think about it. So y'all might have noticed I'm talking in a southern accent today. That's because I was thinking I might read Yan's Bond story for y'all, because today is ASMR Cozy Stream, and so we are going to read some more Bond stories. Thought y'all might enjoy some Yan. Hit me with a yes or no on that, a yarp or narp, if y'all feeling it or no, and we'll read more than that as well. And yeah. Let's review the schedule. Mondays are gaming. Yesterday playing some of that Story Seasons. Sure love it. Tuesdays are cozy streams. Wednesdays are class with Dr. X Sport. This week probably deferring class to next week, because I'm dealing with a family crisis that's keeping me on my toes, ready to fly out of state at any moment if I need to go take care of my brother. So, instead of this week, it'll probably be next week. History of medicine / pharmaceuticals. And tomorrow, if I'm still in town, tomorrow we'll do shopping stream. That's right, Redacted. Yes, I did. And then Thursday's more gaming. If I'm in town, I'll play some more Story Seasons. And Friday, Nikke Impressions. If I'm in town, Sugar's winning. Haven't done Sugar in must be like 2-3 months, right? And so that'll be Sugar on Friday, most likely, unless Lilywise somehow pulls ahead. Thanks, Encrypted. Yeah, we're just waiting. I'm just waiting for the signal. If he puts out the export signal, I'm flying down. So gotta be ready. Already arranged for substitutes for my work classes. Alright, so Nikke musical story came out today. Some of y'all got that sneak peek at it on Friday. For those of y'all who didn't and saw it for the first time today, what'd y'all think? Summary of the story of Scheherazade, because Scheherazade's been featured much less than Wales, and y'all already always asking who's Wales. So figured there had to be many y'all saying who's Scheherazade, so this was a little refresher. What'd y'all think? And we all clear on Scheherazade's story now? Also, Gotcha's Suffering will come out tomorrow for Tier 3 members. Friday for the rest, y'all. Gotcha's Suffering, and let me tell y'all, little hint, it was suffering this time. Thank you, Jack Tricks. Now, here's another hint. A little fitness tip. That the Scheherazade's song is real good for getting your steps in. Got that rapid pace, really makes you want to march. Works real good. Scheherazade is from Wishes, Abandoned Wishes. That's where she originated. The Burst Animation Tier List collection. She was in the last tier list, Encrypted, but that was not her premiere. What's the word I'm looking for? She originated in Abandoned Wishes. So if you hadn't seen her before, I suggest you go back and watch the Burst Animation Tier List. with abandoned wishes. And, that's right. Thank you, K-Chan. The musical is half a recap of abandoned wishes, half the story that was alluded to before, so just filling in with everything about Scheherazad's backstory, if you will. No Bond story for her yet. She hasn't met the commander. Hades, I mean, that's a lot of what I already do, sort of, but making an actual abridged might be fun. Could be a lot of work, though. Depends. Definitely keep it on my list. Sometimes I have ideas that I'm still figuring out, and I got them on my list. My list for future projects, you know? Alright, y'all. Let's read Yan's Bond story. Here we go. Bond story episode 1. Well, Danny, there, keep your eyes out. Out of context, that mean you asleep, or am I putting you to sleep? Yeah, got some things in the works you might like, Danny. Alright. Episode 1, One Thrifty Customer. The commander went to Yan's store to buy a new filing cabinet, and since she was pleasantly surprised to see him, she was willing to offer him a discount. Since she has numerous to choose from, Yan offers to help make him a decision, and the two peruse her stock. The cheapest one on sale is a 3-layer craft paper filing cabinet that's easy to use and made 100% recycled materials. The protagonist was ready to purchase it, but Yan warns him that it stains easily when wet, and while she's not worried he'd accidentally do that, there is no guarantee the Nikkes that come to visit him won't. Seeing her point, she offers up a waterproof 5-layered cabinet worth 3,000 credits more that's made out of plastic. He agrees to buy it, and the two head to register to complete the transaction. Conveniently, it appears someone left another filing cabinet at the counter already. After Rookie inquired about this one, she explained that it was made by Merciless and could automatically sort papers. Hades, to be fair, stopping after the Cell Saga was the correct decision for DBZ Abridged. Boo Saga is terrible. Character assassinates Gohan, my favorite Dragon Ball Z character. And the word for rice, right? In Japanese? He was very impressed, and Yan assures him it works since she has one in her office. After sharing how useful it was, she reveals the price was 400,000 credits, an outrageous price. Since Yan would feel bad for charging him so much for being such a hard worker, she offered to give him a 15% discount and an additional 5% if he paid her directly. The purchase was made, and the protagonist returned home with his new filing cabinet. Wonder if I get that reference. Yeah, redacted. Ain't it? Back in his room, the counters were surprised by his new cabinet, but were even more shocked by how much he paid for it. Neon questioned if he became a big spender, and he denied it by saying it was something he needed. Anise expected him to buy a regular one worth 5,000 credits, and Neon informs him that because he spent so much, it'll be difficult to purchase daily munitions. The three decided that their commander could no longer be trusted with their funds. What a freaking idiot. And, Episode 2, 3 Thrifty Customers. On his next shopping trip to Yan's store, the commander was now accompanied by the counters who were going to decide how their money should be spent. They also figured Yan was the one who convinced him to waste so much money, and they won't fall for her tricks. The saleswoman was curious what they came to buy today. so she could be of help. But Rappy declined her assistance. The three Nikkes went to find what they needed. Rookie worried if letting the counters go off on their own was a good idea, but Yan had a good feeling about it and offered to take him to her VIP room while they waited. The two spent time relaxing and drinking tea. The flavor Yan brewed proved to be incredible. She was surprised he could sense its subtle taste, something neither Rupee nor Dala could tell. Hearing that, she's willing to share tea with Rookie whenever he wants, which he considers an honor. Since they've been waiting for 2 hours now, Yan suspects the counters may have bought more than they bargained for. He's not convinced, but Yan knows they can't resist spending when faced with so many attractive products. Is that right? I didn't know H250V? H250V? After the counters finished shopping, the protagonist questioned why they bought so much. Anise told him that while they were looking around, they found so much stuff they could use. This must be like Target. Neon got an egg Splendimin machine for free for buying a Goddessium chopping board that was worth much more than getting a regular one. Rappy bought 20 units of combat food from a special display that were 300 credits cheaper than buying them regularly. But the protagonist reminded her that both consumables are different products. Anise also bought stuff from the special display area and did not verify the difference either. Seeing as his Nikkes also couldn't control their spending, he wants to change the subject. Before leaving Yan's store, she thanked them for their patronage. While she wasn't sure they would spend so much, she hints, promoting her wares along with where and how they are displayed, their prices, putting on events, and even how she describes them are just as effective as making a sales pitch. Because of that, customers will spend a lot of their own volition. Learning the secret to Yan's success, she agrees to talk with him again after he delivers their haul home. Since the counters had too many things to carry, he had to help them out. Yan sends the four on their way with a big smile that disappears behind the store's doors after they close. You get a sip of water. Episode 3, Wagering Wallet at Tea Time. Anise assembled a meeting to discuss their current financial situation. They have spent over budget, and even though they are enjoying the luxuries they have purchased, the protagonist wants everyone to limit their spending. They are aware that if they continue to shop at Yan's store, they will probably run out of credits. But Neon warned them that Emma was cooking yesterday and clogged the sink. Now being forced to visit Yan to solve this problem, Commander decides to ask her to bring what they need to the front entrance. While it seemed foolish, it was the best plan they had. Rappy suggests they should retreat if something goes wrong. Yan was surprised to see Rookie and the counters huddled by her store's entrance. Neon hands her a list of the things they want to buy and want her to bring it here within an hour. After reading the list, Yan immediately figures out why they were here. She informed them her business doesn't sell what they're looking for, but since they've been such good patrons, she's willing to help them out on the condition that they never ask for this favor again. This is because she would be overwhelmed if her other customers knew what she had. He promised to keep his mouth shut, and she brought everyone back to the VIP room. Yan brewed some ginseng oolong tea for everyone to drink, and despite being very hot, it was delicious nonetheless. Isn't that redundant? That's to be expected, since this is genuine tea the wealthy can drink, and not artificial like most have access to. She bemoans about how the counters risk their lives for the sake of the Ark, but can't enjoy the luxuries of it. Rookie asked about its net price, and while Neon thought that was a dangerous question to ask, Yan would indulge his curiosity. The tea itself is worth enough to cover Jan's expenses for a month, worth approximately 500,000 credits. Nsfw was surprised that draining a few leaves can be worth so much, and figures delivering some from the surface would make them rich. Jan informs the wildlife agency spends a lot of its time and resources to cultivate trees with only 30 to 40% of them surviving. The figure she mentioned before was its market price, but since she deals with the agency directly, she can buy for half as much. At 250,000 credits, the protagonist is willing to buy the tea? While Nsfw thinks he's acting crazy, he's willing to purchase it if it makes Rappy happy, and it would be a nice reward for all the hard work she does. Rappy appreciates his gesture, but assures him he doesn't need to go out of his way to make them happy. He's willing to do it so they can have a taste of luxury. Nsfw reminds him that their current budget would still restrict them to half that amount. Jan would be fine if they paid in monthly installments or put the fees on his tab. The counters still don't want their commander to go into debt for their sake, so Jan suggests that he could work it off at her businesses. Sorry, my throat's bothering me. Since the three didn't want him to be a busboy, she offered to make him her personal assistant for a day, in exchange for 10 cases of tea. Nsfw figures that if they drink half and sell the rest, they would have plenty of funds left over. Rookie agrees and signs a contract stating he will begin work tomorrow. After one of Jan's employees came to handle the tea, his boss informs him that he can leave early and take a paid vacation tomorrow, as Rookie will be filling in for him. From how she phrased it, this seemed like Jan's plan from the beginning. See a request. Jospert, I'm laughing at Hades' comment there about Zuko. One time I saw this real cute kitten, and it was like orange, and they told me it was called like a flame point kitten, and I was like, oh my god, I need this kitten. It was a boy, and I was going to name him Zuko, but I didn't get him, because at the time I had a dog who was 18, and I figured it wouldn't be the best choice. Alright, I see Jospert's request. That's my Rookie, y'all. Episode 4. Commander working a part-time job. Ready to begin his job as Jan's assistant for the day, Rookie decided to show up early. Seeing how energized he is, she leaves him in charge of her store so she could rest. He was surprised that he wasn't going to be given any training. Excuse me. But she tells him that the amount of time and money she would spend to do so wouldn't be worth it. She is smart. As soon as Jan left, Rookie's store was open for business. I'm so sorry. I felt a yawn coming and then it came and now it's gone. Alright, sorry. DM Vophouse is constantly gaining new effects. Newest effect? Making you rich. I mean, I could see them milking him like a cow, though. Take as much as they can, but leave him enough to stay alive. Milking him for blood, I mean. Milking him for blood. Alright. Not long afterwards, he welcomed Vasti, who was surprised to see him and thought he quit his old job. After explaining that he's just here for the day, she expresses she's looking for ingredients since Emma is cooking again. After taking her to see his stock, he knew he had to channel his inner Jan to succeed at this sale. Yeah, my bad, Danny. I'm real innocent, you know? I'm real innocent. He lures her in with a special value containing 0.9% Nutrium. She's willing to buy 5 despite the price. But since the amount of Nutrium is too low, he immediately introduces her to one that contains 3% instead. While it holds triple the amount of cultured cow meat, that's actually more than triple. price is double the previous offering. She agreed to buy it since this product had more nutrient in it. Bestie was surprised to have bought way more than she expected, and the protagonist thanks her for her patronage. Watching from afar, Yan can tell she made the right decision. Rookie's next customer was Freema, who loafed her way in and collapsed on the sofa. She came looking for mixed coffee in a box. Mixed coffee? What the hell does that mean? And he figured trickery wouldn't work on her. As she continues to lounge on the sofa, the commander deduces that placating Freema's feelings and subtly convincing her to spend more would be his best strategy. Hey, Abel. He insists on escorting her to the VIP room, and while she refuses to move, he installs wheels on the sofa and drags her there. Oh, that makes sense, H250. I was thinking mixed, but I guess that makes sense. Decaf and caffeinated. But if she's got the real sleep disorders like I got, then the decaf isn't necessary. Caffeinated already won't make a difference. She's surprised the couch can move, so he fibbed that this mobile sofa was the invention of the century and would allow her to sleep while others move her. She instantly interested, and he informs her the cost is 100,000 credits per wheel, a price she can tell is expensive. He offers to sell her 4 at half the cost, and since she thought that was still too much, he agreed to reduce it by another 10% with his commander powers just for her. Well, I think Blanc and Noir learned about his commander powers when we read about them before. Damn it, DM, come on. The two strike a deal, and Freema takes her leave with Rookie singing a jingle as she does. After that sale, the protagonist admits to feeling weird. Making a profit by following Yan's example seems wrong, but he can't deny. The adrenaline rush he feels from it makes him feel more alive. Yan suddenly reappears, pleased that he understands the beauty of business. She can tell how he felt after following her example and offers Rookie a new wager. He admits he's curious, so Yan intends to show him the real commercial world. Episode 5, The Great Challenge. Rupee hosted another of her streams and intends to show her viewers the trendy new store in Talentum Mall Yan owns, and to conduct an interview. The streamer makes it clear that the two Talentum members aren't close, and her cutie, whom she loves, is managing it with Yan. The man in question greets her as his role dictates. Sorry, a typo here. It says greats, and I was confused. Rupee heard that both their business skills are so sharp that all other customers exit the store with empty wallets. She bets him to see how much he can get her to spend, a challenge he easily accepts. Back at the outpost, the counters are watching along with their niece, being confused about how their commander became a business manager after previously being deceived by Yan. Rappy figured because of the deal the two struck regarding the tea, this allowed him to become Yan's employee and earnestly learn about sales. Cutting back to the stream, Rookie's been successfully convincing Rupee to spend credits on things she never knew she wanted, making her think he has telepathy or is an AI. Though he can't read her mind, all he has to do is show a customer something that they didn't even know they wanted. This response made Anise compare him to being the salesman of the century, if people didn't know he was a commander. Neon blames the egg splendid machine she bought for this sudden change. Well, Anise believes he had this intuition all along, and Yan helped bring it out of him. Of course he had this all along. He charms every Nikke he meets with his magical pheromones. That's it. Flophouse. Pheromones. Flophouse also has pheromones. That's it, y'all. And that's how he's selling. They're all just Nikke. Anyway, on her stream, Rupee had her card maxed out, so the protagonist informs her they also accept installment payments. Shopaholic wants to sign up for a full year. Full year of what? The store's owner shares that no matter how many years she applies for, all she would need to do is work hard for a few months to recoup her expenses. Yan had a point, and she already spent past her budget, with the Lupins telling her to stop. He tells her that since we only live once, she should make the most of it, and the two have an open sale just for Rupee, where everything is 70% off. And because she is a VIP customer, she gets an additional 10% in mileage points. Yeah, Nikke live like a lot more times than once, theoretically, right? As long as, they got their brain. And in Red Hood's case, she can also be, merged and reborn and all kinds of things. But Yan warns her this bargain only lasts this week since it's the opening season. Thoroughly convinced, Rupee proceeds to buy to her heart's content. After the successful stream, Yan and her new business partner share dinner together in a 5-star restaurant. Yan, why do they bother having stars for the restaurants in the Ark? Are there that many? Just, I guess they're living large. That's kind of the point. Yan reveled in the profit the two earned together, but Rookie felt this wasn't enough. She saw his point since there are still places to go and rivals to overcome. Despite that, she was thoroughly impressed at what they had accomplished in their first month, and shares there are times to be greedy and times to celebrate. Hades, I don't know what you're saying. Lost my place. Otherwise, he'll get tired out, something he's certain will never happen. So long as the source of his inspiration is by his side, the protagonist will never tire of this. After hinting that Yan was the inspiration in question, she became a little bashful and shared he did most of the work. He evolved beyond her usual tactics and created his own. Yan considers him the first person she met like this since coming to the Ark, and she can't help but feel lucky for it. Now that the store in Royal Woods is making bank, they must now consider their next move and ask for some suggestions. The commander pitches the idea of a store where nothing can be sold for more than 1,000 credits. Yep, dollar store, get it? Although she worries their margins will be low, she senses that the money will flow nonetheless. The two wanted to start a draft of this new business, and Yan takes out her electronic tablet and pen so they can brainstorm some ideas. 1F, gee, I wonder why Shift Up would pick that city. Good point, DM. It's a good point. That is why there's the Outer Rim, right? The business the two created from this session would become known as the 1,000 Credit Store, and would spread across the Ark at a blistering pace. Even in lieu of their success, their goal of collecting all the money in the Ark is still ongoing. Alright, y'all. Who's next? We have time for one more. Probably. What do y'all think? Suggest some ideas and then we'll do a poll. Throw out some choices. Put a poll together. Alright, so far I'm seeing Crown, Rosanna, and Neon. I'll take those first three and put a poll out. Well, I guess I'll do Guilty too because the poll can fit 4. I was thinking the same thing, DM. Does he get commissions? I guess I can turn the Southern off now. Can I, though? That's the real question. Can I turn the Southern off? Alright, everybody, here comes the poll. Here comes the poll, do-do-do-do. Here comes the poll, and I say, it's alright. Alright. Give y'all a brief minute for that. Oh, see, it's really hard to turn it off. So I've turned on the southern, it doesn't want to be gone. It's true, Hades. Can't turn it off. Back when I was studying German, I was doing a German accent a lot, and my nephew thought it was annoying, so. Alright, everybody. Let's see. Everybody, give it another minute. Who shall prevail? My character looks like they need eye drops, really? Let me look forward. Am I looking forward now? Look straight ahead. Does that work? It still looks sideways. What the f... Did it ever look forward? Why is it doing this? Anyway, alright, looks like Guilty is winning when I combine Twitch and YouTube. That was not what I expected. And yet I should have. Ugh. My fave. Bond story. What the? Alright, everyone. On story. So here we go. Episode 1, Not Guilty. Rehabilitation Day 1. Mana welcomes the protagonist as the newest counselor of the Rehabilitation Center, noting his choice in counseling Guilty. She asks if he chose Guilty because he believed there was no risk of physical harm, and advises him to keep his guard up anyway. Of the many counselors that tried to reform Guilty, 10 of them were hospitalized with compound fractures following interaction with her. Mana believes Guilty played up a harmless front so that counselors would get careless and loosen the restraints, despite being explicitly told not to. Mana reiterates to never remove Guilty's restraints. And if anything happens, there's a bell to summon a guard team to restrain the Nikke. Mana then opens the door, wishing the protagonist good luck. Inside the room, Guilty sits without saying anything. The protagonist makes the first move, and when prompted, introduces himself as her new counselor. Guilty is surprised she'd get another counselor after what happened to the last one. Her insistence on doing nothing wrong intrigues the protagonist, and she explains that the missless scientists were the ones who made her like this. She finds it unfair to be locked up like a criminal for touching things, while just being stronger than others, while the scientists who made her that way get to go free. The protagonist stares into Guilty's eyes as he answers her questions, an act that makes her avert her... An act that makes her avert her gaze before... Oh, okay. An act that makes her avert her gaze before glancing back. She asks if he means what he says, then mutters that he's not on her side yet. Guilty asks what the protagonist's plan is, and clarifies that since they'll be spending time together for the counseling sessions, he has to have some idea of what he's going to do. He responds that he wants to know what Guilty herself wants to do, a question that takes her by surprise. A moment of eye contact once again leads Guilty to shy away briefly, before she reiterates that she doesn't believe he's on her side. She bemoans about being stuck in this stifling place, which she clarifies is her space in the solitary confinement wing. The protagonist asks how she ended up in solitary confinement, which she answers. The last person Guilty interacted with insisted they could handle her strength, so she got a bit excited and touched them, but ended up breaking them instead before getting locked in solitary. Both she and the protagonist agree she underestimated her strength, leading him to decide they're going to have to learn to regulate her power. The idea is something Guilty finds impossible, believing she was born this way and nothing can change that. I mean, you literally weren't born that way, but okay. She starts calling the protagonist a liar and refuses to listen to him, not even believing his declaration that he'll come back later. The protagonist simply insists he'll be back and exits the room. Okay guys, discussion. Who's physically stronger, Guilty or Lilywise? DM Sinwil, we have to believe. Rehabilitation Day 2. Back at the outpost, the protagonist is stuffing dumbbells into a bag. Counters first wonders what he's doing with so many dumbbells. The questions why he's bringing them to the rehabilitation center. Anise sardonically marvels at how much work the protagonist is being saddled with, counseling criminals on top of his commander duties. Rappy is concerned with the protagonist's ability to lift even the bag, which turns out to be a no. Rehabilitation Day 2. The protagonist meets up with Guilty, who's surprised he's back after what happened last time. The protagonist explains he's planned to help Guilty control her strength, a prospect she immediately dismisses as impossible, but she still tries to grab a dumbbell at his request. She crushes it so hard, it's little more than dust in her hands. At the protagonist's insistence, Guilty continues to pick up increasingly bigger and heavier dumbbells, only for each one to meet a similar fate. 1 hour and several more dumbbells later, Guilty is figuratively throwing her hands in the air, declaring this as a futile endeavor. Even with the protagonist's persistence in one more dumbbell, Guilty requests they do something else. That something else is asking the protagonist why he's so intent on rehabilitating her. He tries to explain his motives, but then Guilty questions if he's seen the recordings the center took of the incident that got her into solitary confinement. The protagonist has not seen the footage, which turns out to be the wrong answer, as Guilty remarks he doesn't truly know her, and further withdraws from the conversation. Sensing no further progress will be made today, the protagonist calls it a session and leaves. Back at the outpost, the protagonist is contacting Shifty for access to the recordings of the incident. The operator is reluctant to do so, believing seeing the footage might compromise the protagonist's willingness to counsel Guilty, but relents when he insists on it. Rehabilitation Center security feeds are heavily classified, so it might take some time for her to send them. As Shifty signs off, the protagonist thinks back to what Guilty said, how he didn't really know her without seeing just what happened before she was locked in solitary. Episode 3, Do I Trust Her? Eventually, the footage is sent to the protagonist from Shifty, and he plays it back. In the recording, the prisoner is talking to Guilty, playing up her strength as a way for them to break free of the prison. The prisoner talks a big game about Guilty not being, guilty of the crimes that locked her up. But the Nikke then insists on holding the prisoner's hands as a show of good faith. The prisoner tries to pull back, insisting on Guilty doing nothing wrong, even as he makes excuses to not be in her reach. In a moment, Guilty suddenly breaks loose of her restraints and rushes toward the prisoner. She grabs him in an embrace as she mutters about how he lied to her, pretending to get her in her good graces so she'd do whatever he wanted her to do. The man pleads for help as the sound of his bones crunching becomes all too audible. Guilty raves about being innocent as she grips the prisoner harder and harder, the footing cutting out as the crunching noises become unnervingly wet-sounding. The protagonist has no words for what he just witnessed. Rehabilitation Day 3. Crack echoes in the counseling room as Guilty smashes yet another dumbbell. She questions the protagonist on the point of doing this, but he remains silent and unresponsive. Yeah, that's how you'll be after she's done with you. The sound of the crushed dumbbell clattering to the floor jolts the protagonist out of his lull. Sensing his preoccupation, Guilty decides that if his mind is going to be elsewhere, he shouldn't be bothering her with this training nonsense. The protagonist thinks back to the footage and the sound of Guilty's restraints ripping apart. He looks towards his counselee, is that a real word? Counselee, and sees the restraints still intact. Then questions whether her strength is truly uncontrollable. Guilty insists it's true, and deduces these questions are because the protagonist has finally seen the footage. Guilty questions the protagonist if he still thinks she did nothing wrong, then asks him to loosen her restraints as a show of good faith. As the protagonist continues to talk, Guilty gets more and more worked up, wondering why he hasn't reacted like all the others, screaming, running away, or calling security. Her pressure continues to mount alongside her confusion. With a ripping sound, Guilty breaks her restraints again and grabs the protagonist's arm. She asks if he still thinks she did nothing wrong, and the protagonist loses consciousness as snapping sounds report from his arms. Episode 4, No More Guilty. The protagonist awakens in a hospital bed, Rappy looking over him. Rappy explains that he was sent right to the ER after his latest counseling session. Mary walks into the room, having been the one to treat the protagonist after he was brought in. The protagonist thanks Mary for her help, then asks how badly his arms have been affected. Mary explains that the arms have been swollen ever since he arrived, but fortunately only one of them was fractured. As Rappy asks how this came to be, the protagonist thinks back to Guilty's last words. "You weren't like this before. You seemed more genuine than the others. Now I'm not so sure myself. I want you to prove it." The protagonist's mutterings about trust confuse Rappy, but he moves on, asking how long he's been hospitalized, which by Mary's report is a few days. Rappy tells him he should probably give up on Guilty, if not this entire rehabilitation mission of his. He refuses and declares he's returning to the rehabilitation center. Rehabilitation Day 4. The protagonist finds Guilty, who's in disbelief that he'd return even after she broke his arm. He insists on helping her control her strength, which she finds both futile and confusing, as she can't get a read on the protagonist. She can't even tell if he's scared or not, which is normal for most of the counselors after she broke their arms. The protagonist declares his intent to release the restraints, and does so with the push of a button. The straps tying Guilty's wrists fall away. Guilty herself can't believe this is happening, but all the protagonist can think of is why only the wrist restraints were released. Guilty briefly explains that it's because she broke his arm, but quickly turns to him and moves on, asking why he's doing this. The protagonist affirms his resolve to see Guilty rehabilitated and announces a continuation of the strength control training. Guilty bemoans yet more training until the protagonist introduces a twist. There will be no props or objects used. The protagonist hugs Guilty and takes her hand. Guilty herself is both shocked and elated, reluctant to grab his hand and hurt him again. The protagonist tells Guilty he trusts her, and grips her hand tighter to prove it. Guilty trembles in confusion and trepidation, unfamiliar with holding someone's hand and unwilling to risk breaking his. Eventually she agrees and puts her hand on his, so lightly he can't feel any pressure. At his insistence, Guilty grips a little tighter, but just that is enough to make him grunt in pain. She tries to pull back, but he grips her hand even tighter in response. The protagonist congratulates Guilty on holding someone's hand without breaking it, an event that's left her almost speechless. She finds her words again, asking if the protagonist thinks she's done nothing wrong. He remarks that even accounting for context and intention, The fact is that Guilty hurt people, and that's a bad thing to do. But he still believes she can be rehabilitated and brought out of the center. Guilty herself seems intoxicated by the protagonist. Yeah, get in line, Guilty. Looking into her eyes, hugging her, holding her hand. You should talk to Noir. There's more to be done. At the protagonist's questioning, Guilty affirms that she wants to believe in him. In his belief she can control herself and be rehabilitated. At those affirmations, the protagonist lets go, asking her to prove it. The protagonist tells Guilty not to lose her strength as a way to hurt others, or as a way to test the trust of other people. But he does promise her one thing. If she can be rehabilitated and get out of the center, she can hold his hand any time for as long as she wants. She agrees so long as he keeps that promise, awaiting the day she can hold his hand, feeling the warmth in both his eyes and his touch. I don't know, good luck for that. Good luck with that, because some other Nikkes are not going to be on board. Episode 5, Guilty Pleasure. Mana congratulates the protagonist, as both the center's staff and the central government audits have turned up no incidents on Guilty's record since the last counseling, even when they released her restraints. Combined with a drive for self-improvement shown even after leaving solitary, lead to the conclusion that Guilty has been fully rehabilitated and can leave the center a mostly free Nikke. Mana thanks the protagonist for continuing with the counseling even after suffering a broken arm, while the protagonist thanks her back for allowing the counseling to continue. Mana elaborates that she was planning to cancel the consultation altogether if the protagonist just failed to show up even one day, citing parties who believed rehabilitation would be impossible. DM, she's got to be over 6 feet. She's huge, like 6'6" at least. She's like Vince Vaughn. Mana personally sees Guilty as leaving the center as a benefit to ARC security, given how Guilty's strength and wit could have been put to use to stage a prison break. She then asks the protagonist what he thinks was the determinant factor in Guilty's rehabilitation, then accepts his answer as something that differentiates him from the previous counselors. It's not all good news, however. Mana explains that once out of the center, Guilty is now the protagonist's responsibility. If she causes trouble or even gets locked in the center again, for any reason, it'll be on his head. That makes no sense. They decided to release her, so why should it be on his head? Ergo, Mana's recommendation is that the protagonist keep the momentum in talking with Guilty and forming a rapport with her. Her piece said, Mana lets the protagonist go to his final counseling session. Mana briefly reminds the protagonist that Guilty is, when F. Senti's got to be taller than him, right? She's at least 6'2" or something, right? Step time, but I'll finish this first. Final day of rehabilitation. Guilty is all too happy to see the protagonist again, especially after she's been approved for release. She tells him everything she did, from not breaking things to even holding back when the guards got on her nerves. All that so she could do a little something she was promised. The protagonist remembers, which delights Guilty as if he forgot. As if he forgot, she would have known he was lying to her. The protagonist wraps Guilty in a hug and holds her hand. She basks in the warmth, pondering how it only feels nice when it's with him. She wonders what would happen if he became afraid of her, if he'd back away from her touch, and grasps both his hands to determine if he's lying. In response, the protagonist tightens his grip on her hands, affirming his claim that he'll trust her, and she'll trust him back. Guilty savors the feeling of holding his hands, calling it the best thing she's ever felt, so far. The protagonist thinks back to Mana's reminder that Guilty is a vicious criminal. Guilty notices something and asks the protagonist what's wrong. He asks what she would do if she lied to him, or found something better to hold than his hands. He's got other things. Guilty seemingly goes on a tangent, pondering hypotheticals like breaking his hands so no one else can hold them, or strangling him. She then veers course again, assuring that she's an upstanding, fully rehabilitated Nikke who can be by his side. Though she does ask if he wants an honest answer to his question. When he ponders if he truly does, her only response is a smile. Danny, for Red Hood, I think that's her shoes and headgear, though. I don't think she's actually taller. Yes, his wallet, age 250. Obviously, what the hell did you think I meant? Jeez. Gamma, it seems like all the Nikkes are the possessive type. Oh, boy. One of the reasons I like Snow White, she's not weirdly obsessed with the commander. Or clingy, or, you know, like, Rappy's always Nikke blocking him. DM, yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. See, when she finds her perfect person, that's what it'll be. DM. She found her true calling in the Ark. Good night, Dirtfeather. Thanks for joining. Wait, Dirtfeather, you didn't tell me what to name the cat. If I'm playing and I get to go to the bazaar again and I get a black cat, what do I name it? I know, Gamma. It can change. You're absolutely right. You never know. So tomorrow, if I'm still in town, it will be the booth shopping tomorrow. I'll post a link in the booth channel on Discord and revive it after stream, so you guys can see. Make sure it's the ones that are for the my VTuber one, and also Tigger. Thank you, got it, Dirtfeather. And ow, my finger. Oh yeah, choosing another outfit because I've had my absolute one for a bit now, so we'll choose an alternate. Ow, my knees hurt. I've been having lots of joint pain this week, and I don't know why. Like, severe pain in my elbow yesterday. I almost couldn't push my cart at the grocery store. I had to pull it instead with the other arm. And then, like, bad knee pain, too. It's really weird. And I had the worst thing. Do you guys ever, like, are you ever driving and you go to check your blind spot, and then you get, like, a horrible pain in your neck? That happened to me today. Jack Tricks. Insert Marvel Hawkeye. Don't give me hope meme. Good evening, Ranstuin. Good to have you. We finished reading Yan and Guilty's Bond stories. Bit of a random assortment tonight. They were more themed other nights, like Absolute and Bunnies. And yeah, recent events, so this one was more random. Yes, I did, Ranstuin. I went to check my blind spot, and I got like a... You guys ever have that? It's like all of a sudden like a severe pain, and then it's fine, but it hurts real bad. Yeah, that makes sense, Danny, because I've been driving for a bit. And then you check your blind spot and you like scream in pain. I actually did like scream out in pain. I was singing along to my music and then I screamed. And then, yeah, so... Danny, is the chair possibly too high? Because if your knees aren't at a 90, if you're not keeping your knees at a good 90-degree angle. So like the PTs tell me you want your knees, your ankles, and your hips all at a 90-90-90. That's why I have a box under my desk. Because no chair is short enough for export. Except for the children chairs we have at work. So no chair is short enough for export, so I have a little cardboard shoebox underneath. So that my knees and ankles will be at a 90-degree. I have a rear view camera, yeah, K-Chin, but you still gotta check your blind spots. Yeah, Danny, I'll keep that in mind. Nihilister. And my rear view camera only activates when I'm backing up in the car that I have. Yes, it's true, y'all. It's true, which makes pants finding difficult. That's why almost all my pants are skinny jeans, because it's really hard to find ones. I bought some custom ones though, because my inseam is so short. I had to buy pants with custom inseam, which is more expensive usually. Not always though. I got some on Etsy that were a really good price and they were custom inseam, and I love them so much. They're flare leggings, and I was so happy because I see people in flare leggings and I'm like, oh, they look so good, I love it. But then on me they look stupid because they're literally like 4 to 6 inches too long. So I finally, and then if you hem them, they're not flare anymore. So I got them and I love them so much. My own, yes, I was my own inspiration for small white, exactly. Gamma, do you have like a history of problems with that knee? Like, did you break it or something at one point? Oh, nice, Danny. What's it called? Wait, you said it. Burn It Up. I'll definitely listen to that. I do like to listen to music because I commute for work, so I drive from house to house because I do therapy in the home, like in the classroom at my center, but also in the home. So I drive from place to place. So I drive quite a bit and listen to my music. I'm not below 5 feet, Hades. That would be torturously small as far as finding clothes. It was hard though as a kid, like in my teen years when I was like getting to the age where I didn't want to be shopping in the kids section anymore, but I was like way too small for like older clothes. So it was like really difficult. Oh man, that sucks, Gamma. When you were 7, oh dang. That's crazy. It's crazy how sometimes you can hurt something as a kid and it's never quite the same, because I injured my right Achilles tendon as a kid and it's never been quite the same. DM wants to know what the best Bond story. DM, I think that depends on what you're going for. Do you want like are you going for like a noir / Emma Bond story? Or are you going for something more like Yan's Bond story? There's a big difference. Big difference. Okay, Chim, if I'm feeling really depressed, that's the one time I don't listen to music. Like, really, really depressed, like really down, then I just want the silence, and that's like a sign that I'm not doing good. Because usually if I'm just feeling kind of down, I just listen to sad music. But if I'm like rock bottom, then it's silence. Which never happens, obviously. We read Yunwa's, right? Didn't we? That was one of the first ones we read, I think. Ah, that sucks, Gamma. Do you have to wear anything in your shoes so you don't like exacerbate like by the? Because I know if one leg is longer than the other, it can cause like harm to like your hips and stuff. Yeah, Hades. It's do you want character development or you want something steamy? That's the two potentials pretty much with the Bond stories. Well, and there's more than two. There's steamy. There's character development, and there's more just like random entertainment ones. Like Yan's wasn't so much character development, but like entertaining. Yes, Jack Tricks. I think that's what we started with, right? H250 Bond story wise, we have done all of Absolute. We did Blanc and Noir and Rouge and Aid. And Snow White. That's right, we started with Snow White because, you know, best girl. We read Goddess Fall, or Godness Fall, but that was just like a really brief summary, and obviously not a Bond story. Whoa, whoa. Oh, yeah. Oh, really, Gamma? That hasn't caused you any problems? Which version of Absolute? Hades? Default, not tactical upgrade, Absolute. And there's Siren. Yes, Jack Tricks, that is a good point. Then there's Siren. We deserve better. So, yeah. We do, what do you guys think for next week? Anybody? Next week, Bond stories? How about we'll say Nihilister? Danny was requesting Nihilister. We'll put that on the list. What else, guys? Do Siren next week as a joke, ironically. The other goddesses. Did we do Rapunzel already? No. Okay, why was I thinking we did? Okay, Hades also wants Nihilister. Alright, Nihilisters. So we'll choose 2 for next week. Nihilister and Blue Tut says other goddesses. Let's narrow that down. Rapunzel, Scarlet, Dorothy. Yeah. Because we already did Snow White. Oh, Red Hood. We didn't do Red Hood. Crown in my counting pressure. That wouldn't be very cozy, Jacktrix. DM, yeah, I feel like they have to tell it something else. It doesn't make any sense. You'd think that would be a question Shift Up would ask themselves, but apparently not. Yeah, Hades, I kind of assumed that. Okay, yes, you say sugar? Well, good news for you on Friday, assuming I'm in town. Oh, that's awful, Gamma. Does that happen to you on accident? Because that happens to me where I forget that, like, I'm not supposed to do, like, a deep squat because that triggers the fainting problems with me. But I forget sometimes that I'm not supposed to. Because, you know, I work with, like, toddlers, so I squat down. And then I'm like, ah, crap. Oh, DM also says sugar. And 2 votes for Crown and Crown Voice. Alright, we'll keep this list. Yeah, seriously, Jacktrix. Alright, everybody. Tomorrow is, tomorrow Gotcha is Suffering comes out for Tier 3. Comes out on Friday for everybody else, usual time. And, as I said earlier, my hint is that it was indeed Suffering. And then, oh, what was I gonna say? And then tomorrow, shopping stream. Alright. See y'all tomorrow then. Majram.